Will Jordan Binnington be wearing the blue note next season? Let's talk about it.
Hi, I'm Robert Thomas, and this is Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I'm your host, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today on LOB, I'm going to talk to you if I believe Jordan Binnington will stay or go. What team respectfully would even want Jordan Kyrou? And believe it or not, he's back. Well, at least in my thoughts. It's Ryan Suter. I have a couple thoughts about suits that I saw today on social media, but it has trickled down this entire thought process of how we can incorporate him back with the blue note. We have a lot to talk about, so let's dive into things. So, one of the big questions this offseason is about Jordan Binnington. And on 32 Thoughts today, Elliot was talking about the Panthers potentially not having Bobrovsky back. And would that maybe make them interested in Jordan Binnington? Well, here's the thing. I think Jordan Binnington is one of the best goalies in the NHL, just not this past season. And you can say what you want about him, but reality is Jordan Binnington, I mean, when I say top, I'm not saying top 10, I'm saying top 15, okay? We can say top 15. He is good enough to be a starting goalie, and I feel like he still has value. The problem is this. I think he will be traded this offseason, and I have a lot of reason to believe that, just based off of the rumors and speculations that went down during the trade deadline. However, I also want to point out, too, when it comes to Jordan Binnington, that he still has 1 year left here in St. Louis. But at the same time, I feel like any team, if they do acquire Binnington, will just eat it, right? And I found it interesting that the Panthers were mentioned because all along, and I still believe this, I think Binnington will end up on a team in the East. Whether that's the Metro or the Atlantic, I do think he ends up on the East. At first, I thought it was going to be Carolina, and that didn't happen. And there was a lot of rumors, but I do think it will be an Eastern team. Kind of like what I said about Captain Braden, former Captain Braden Shen, when there was rumors about him. I said, and you can even look back and see, I said he'll end up in the Metro. I usually have a really good feel about where players could potentially end up just based off of logic, right? Sorry about that. My cat interrupted me. But the point that I'm trying to make is that with Binnington, it wouldn't make sense for him to be on a Western team unless it was the Golden Knights. However, it does seem like they're going with Carter Hart, so I don't think that there's going to be any room, in my opinion, for Binnington. I think that Binnington, the cat again. This is how today's episode's gonna go. But at the end of the day, I think that it would be beneficial to have Binnington in the East. And I don't see any other Central Division teams getting him. I don't see any teams in the Pacific either. And I don't think that he would even want to do that. Honestly, crazy thought. Okay, if you want to talk about a crazy thought, I feel like him going to Florida, the Panthers, I feel like that, and hear me out, could get them another cup. I know that's an insane thought. The Panthers had a lot of injuries, right? They are still a very good team, and it could happen. Binnington could be the missing piece. I'm just saying that if you want to be on a cup contending team, while they didn't make the playoffs this season, I still feel like they're one of the better teams in the NHL. And you know what it is, but it could happen. And here's the thing. With Binnington, I would, it's going to suck to see him go because I'm biased and I will say that. I am biased. However, I do feel like it is time for that younger group of guys to take over. And I feel as if Joel Hofer has already molded himself into that role of being your 1A. And I have a lot of respect for Hofer and his turnaround this season. Not easy to do, by the way. I mean, he was struggling at the very beginning of the season. And even when I spoke to Hofer at the beginning of the season, he mentioned that it just, it is what it is. And he just has to kind of get out of that mindset. But I think for Binnington, he's able to pass down the torch, right? It's a very symbolic thing. When I first began doing this podcast and I spoke with both Hofer and Binnington, they both explained to me that Binnington, he stated that he likes to teach Hofer, and Hofer, he said that he likes to learn from Binnington as his mentor. And you can tell that Binnington genuinely cares about Hofer's success. And I think that goes a really long way. I think it goes to highlight and to showcase that the impact that Jordan Binnington has on Joel Hofer has made a difference in his play. I think Binnington, the one advantage that he has is that he's so good when it comes to being, I don't want to say he's able to block things out mentally, but he's really, really good at compartmentalizing his emotions. And I think that's what makes a goalie successful. I do. You can have all the skill in the world. And again, it still comes down to skill, quick reflexes. But mentally, you need to just let things go. Okay, you lost in back-to-back games, let it go. You just got scored on 4 times in this contest, let it go. You just need to let it go. And sometimes for these younger players, they kind of get it in their head and they overthink. And this goes back to the book that I read when I talked about goalies' mentalities earlier this season, because it is something that fascinates me, right? The mentality. And it said that thoughts are what's in the moment, right? Like, for instance, my thought right now, how can I make this a good episode? I have to hit on these topics. That's a thought because that's relevant to right now. If I was thinking, and this is where thinking is an issue, I would be thinking, well, was my episode yesterday that good? Is the lighting good enough? Are my bosses going to be happy? You get what I'm saying? Thoughts are present moment. Thinking is usually overanalyzing and causes issues. With goalies, you just have to have quick thoughts. It is what it is. That's the mentality you need to have. And I feel like Joel Hofer has picked up on that mentality in net, and you can tell it makes a big difference. I think that when it comes to sports, you need to have quick thoughts all the time. If you think, even if you're not a goalie, right? Even if you're taking a face off, you can't be thinking about, well, if he drops the puck and I pass it back, you'd have to react. Okay, drops the puck, I know what to do immediately. Just focus on the moment. And that's what makes a good athlete is having quick thoughts. And I feel like Joel Hofer, from observing how he's played, demonstrates that now. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's an easy thing to, in a sense, achieve, because it's not. But sports and mentality, I mean, it's all the same, right? It makes sense. It does make sense. The best athletes can they're able to let the outside world go and just focus on the moment. And you know what? Maybe I can relate, because when I did figure skating, I wasn't thinking about anything else. I was just thinking I wasn't even thinking. It was just my thoughts. It was the present moment of what I'm doing on the ice. And I really urge you, if you feel like Joel Hofer isn't ready, please just watch how he's played since the Olympic break and notice that he's not in his head like he was in the beginning of the season. And you can tell. You can tell how goalies react. And if a guy is in their head, you can tell by the way that they're playing, okay? So again, I do feel like Binnington is going to go, but that's only because right now the Blues have their 1A. and his name is Joel bleeping Hofer. And I just gave like a whole lesson on like sports and like, is it psychiatry? Whatever, sports and psych and all that stuff. But I mean, it's true. Read more books and you'll learn more about the human brain. It's really interesting stuff. All right. I'm going to talk to you about who would even want Jordan Kyrou because I'm still very annoyed with him. And then we're going to have a really fun segment about Ryan Suter. I know. I can't believe I'm talking about him too. But I'll talk to you about that right after this. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidates stumble across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person and cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. I also want to let you know what our company is doing because it's so cool, especially if you're an audio listener. This will benefit you. So listen up. It is called the Everydayer Club for only $5 a month. Okay, that is like less than a cup of coffee these days. You can get ad-free episodes of Locked On Blues. That is right, ad-free episodes. So you can just open up your Spotify, your Apple Music, your Amazon Podcasts, and boom, the ad-free version will be right there. And the best part about this is you also get invited to an exclusive Discord where you, yes, you, can talk about the Blues and playoff hockey and so much more amongst each other. I pop in there a lot and we have a lot of fun. So make sure to check it out. Again, that is lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. Who would want Jordan Kyrou? Now, I don't think it's going to be 100% Kyrou's getting traded. Notice how it's the two Jordans today? I just thought about that. But I do think that there needs to be a discussion about a potential Jordan Kyrou trade. I mean, 18 goals this season is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And 72 games, 18 goals. Yeah, that's not good. In my opinion, that's mediocre. I think that he had his worst season amongst a really bad Blues season, but even when this team was turning things around, he still wasn't. He's 27 years old, and at some point, you need to grow up. And I'm not trying to say that in a condescending way, but you need to just grow up and do your job and not be frustrated on ice. One of the most infuriating parts about watching Kyrou play, and even Bushi, I'll call him out on this too, is when they show their frustration. Because at the end of the day, you are getting paid by the St. Louis Blues to go on the ice and to do your job. I understand not scoring, not getting pucks passed to you where you want them to be passed to you. I get it. It's frustrating. I get it completely. Okay? I get losing sucks. I completely get that. However, when you have guys that are much younger than you, less experience than you, putting in more effort than you, and not acting annoyed all the time, that's when there's an issue. You're supposed to be a leader. You're supposed to be the one that guys can look up to. It's embarrassing, honestly. And I'm not even saying that to be mean or to be cruel. I'm saying that because I'm an honest person and honesty is the best policy. And it did infuriate me watching them act the way that they acted throughout the season. I think when it comes to, and this is just in general now, not just about Kyrou, and I'll get back to him. I think when it comes to athletes, especially in the professional level, and we see this not even just in hockey, we see this in football and basketball, in baseball, we see it all over in professional sports. There's an ego. There's an ego. Players think that they're better than they are so they can have a little ego. Here's the reality check. There's always going to be somebody better than you in everything in life. That's reality. So there's no need for an ego. Egos are stupid. Egos actually make you look like a weaker version of yourself. So when I'm seeing guys that are supposed to be the leaders with an ego, acting like, I'm frustrated. It's not going my way. I'm not going to skate as hard. Do you think that you're the best at your position? Because if you were, you wouldn't have just 18 goals. And that's the reality. I think covering hockey now for 5 seasons professionally, I have seen a lot of players, ECHL, AHL, NHL, KHL. Like, I have seen a lot of players from all over. And I can tell you, the ones that work the hardest are the ones either on the fourth line. It's always the fourth liners that work the hardest, in my opinion, or it's the younger guys given an opportunity before their expected time. Like Jimmy Snuggerud last season, 7 games in the regular season. He was shining. And then in the playoffs, in those 7 games, he was a star. And you know what? He didn't stop this season. He kept accelerating. And even Theo and Otto, they all work so hard, so hard. And I'm like, how come these guys are working so hard, but our older guys are not? And that's what was infuriating to me. So in teams that might have an interest in Kyrou, going back to the initial point, I just had to put that rant out there because my notes throughout the season continuously just had Kyrou's not skating fast enough. He looks lackadaisical. Like it's the same things over and over again. And maybe he's not even aware of it. That could, I mean, that could be it. But I mean, I would hope that he would be a little bit self-aware, but maybe he's not. I don't know. But anyways, I still think the Capitals could be a team. I know that there was a lot of heavy interest in the Capitals during the trade deadline on Jordan Kyrou. And I feel as if, just in my opinion, that it could be a fit. I think that for Kyrou, I wouldn't be surprised either if he, and this is gonna be kind of a crazy take, if he ended up on the Wild. I don't know. Like, for whatever reason, when I was analyzing different teams and rosters, and for whatever reason, I'm like, he could be a fit. Now, the big question that teams have to ask themselves is, do we see him as a top 6 player or a bottom 6? You could make the argument very well that he is a bottom 6 forward. You could also make the argument, depending on the team, that he is the top 6. I mean, it really depends team by team. But again, the Wild are actually good. I would rather be a bottom 6 on a team that could potentially make it to the cup than being a top 6 on a team that's never going to have a chance in your playing career. I mean, anything can happen. I'm just saying that I don't think necessarily his ego is going to allow him to be a bottom 6 player. but it's either Capitals or Wild. It's just a gut feeling. And if it happens and I was right, you heard it here first, because I'm usually right about a lot of things when it comes to who we draft, when it comes to trades, like the Justin Folk. I'm just saying, I knew of that before it went public. I also know somebody in Detroit, but still, like, I know that I'm just telling you, like, I actually don't know anything about the Wild. This is just a gut feeling, but I do know that the Capitals had a lot of interest. So, with that being said, I have something crazy I want to talk to you about with with Ryan Suter. I know it's ridiculous, but we all know I love suits. So we're gonna talk about that right after this. ED is way more common than most guys think. Millions of guys deal with it at some point, and that's exactly why HIMS offers a straightforward way to handle it. HIMS connects you with a licensed healthcare providers online, giving you access to legitimate ED treatment options from the comfort of your home. No awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines, just straightforward process that makes it easier to take care of yourself. The whole process is simple. You just complete a quick online intake and provider reviews your information. If treatment is right for you, it ships directly to your door in a discreet package, which makes the whole experience feel private and stress-free. To get simple online access to get personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/lockedonnhl. That's hims.com/lockedonnhl for your free online visit. hims.com/lockedonnhl. Prescription required. See website for details and important safety information. Sinafol is the generic version of Viagra. Viagra is a registered trademark of Viatris Specialty LLC. Hims is not an affiliate with or endorsed by Viatris. Ryan Suter time. Okay, so this is my time to shine. We all know how I felt about Ryan Suter and the Blues not picking him up, and it was just really upsetting to me. Um, listen, I know that he wasn't the best player by any means, but he did work hard, and I talked about that. I honestly think Ryan Suter would be so beneficial as a part of the coaching staff for the Blues, whether that's, and I'm not saying like an assistant coach or anything like that, but he literally could just be a part of the team in a sense of like the staff. I think that he has a lot of experience. I mean, I don't even think that I know that with, I mean, he's played over 1,500 games. Yeah, 1,500 games, over that in the NHL. Like, that's 1,000, comma, 526 games. Like, that's insane. So, yeah, he has a lot of experience. He was very well liked in the Blues' locker room. I know that there was a lot of rumors throughout the years that he's not a well liked guy. Well, guess what? In the Blues locker room, he was. And that's what I care about. Obviously, this team has issues, and you cannot deny that. This Blues team, if you think that this is, oh my God, this is a team that's going to be completely fine next season, okay, you're delusional. There are so many issues that need to be addressed in the offseason. Now, I still feel like this team could be a wild card one, which I've talked about numerous times, and I still stand by that. But I also stand by the fact that sometimes you need fresh faces and sometimes you need familiar faces. And I feel like Ryan Suter truly would benefit this team in that sense. And again, it probably won't happen, but somebody posted about it. And I was like, wait, this actually makes sense. I actually agree. And I know I'm gonna get those comments, "Oh my god, he was just one of your favorite players." Blah, blah, like, okay, that, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, let's say for how it is, he has more experience than most people do. I mean, how many people do you know that have played that many NHL games? Yeah, not a lot. So I think what's best, honestly, would be hiring him because, okay, I'm going to say this in a very kind way. I feel like the best people are the guy, especially when it comes to coaching and player development and all that stuff, are guys that actually played in the NHL because they get it. They know it. I can't say about myself, "Oh yeah, I would be really helpful." Maybe, but I didn't play in the NHL obviously. Ryan Suter has, and it was recent. And again, you can be an expert in something that you haven't played, but it's a whole different ball game when it comes down to getting players to develop. And I just feel like, in my opinion, that it would be beneficial to have him. So that's my Ryan Suter thought of the day. I will forever be annoyed at the Blues for not extending him. I think that he would have been somebody that could have been beneficial for the defense this season. Because we all know how, I mean, complete mess, whatever. Honestly, it annoys me too much. I'm going to talk to you all tomorrow on Wednesday. Can we just take a moment already to acknowledge that this week is already going by fast? Maybe that's just me getting older and that's how life is. All right, I will talk to you all tomorrow. And like always, let's go Blues.